Hey there, Mark LeBlanc, Carolina Arbors, and I am your black thumb gardener. Actually, I do enjoy gardening, as many of you all do as well, and one of the residents there asked me to see if I could put together something that maybe we can combine the wonderful parts of gardening with maybe some exercise. So what I have for you today is some simulation. So perhaps we're going to do a little bit of raking, we're going to do some digging, maybe we'll do some weed pulling, and we're going to take those activities and bring in some exercises as we do those activities. Okay? So before we begin, I got a few tools of the trade. I can't find my typical kneeling mat for when I'm in the garden. My knees have arthritis, so I need to put my knees on something. So I got an old outdoor pillow I'll be using for that. I've got a garden trough, and I have sunscreen, and in my yard I have killer mosquitoes. So don't like this stuff, but I'd rather that than getting bit up all the time. And of course I could always wear long sleeve clothing. This is my special gardening shirt. It makes me feel like I'm in Hawaii, but I'm in Raleigh. So, kind of get the basics here. The first thing I'm going to do here is utilize the hoe or a rake if you have one. I happen to have a gardening rake. It's a tine type of thing here. And it's just pretty simple stuff. The only difference here is you're going to focus on the form of the movement. Now we all know how to use a rake. I'm going to take my hand here, I'm going to reach out to the area, I'm going to pull. But the big emphasis now is taking it and pulling that elbow back and squeeze. You will go into slower motion now. You pull, squeeze, release forward. So, squeezing. And maybe you're moving around as you do this. I totally get it. But the focus is on the slow squeeze into the back. So that shoulder blade will contract. Try to wrap that arm around a little bit, if possible. Squeezing, squeezing. Okay? So that's another way we can do some back work when you're out here in the yard. And that's using this, of course. The other thing we can do here is, you know, we have to squat down a lot in gardening, right? And it's all about, you've probably heard this before. I'm going to put my rake over there. But when you squat, you want to squat without bending your hips as much. You want to think about the knees first. Before we start to squat to actually do our activities, I'm going to do a little couple warm-up squats there. And what that looks like from a side profile is I'm going to go and hinge my hips back. I'm going to try to sit. Now maybe I do have bad knees, and maybe I only go to 3/4. As long as those knees aren't flying past the toes, you should be okay. So let's just warm up for 6, 5, 4, hips back, 3, chest forward lifted, 2, 1. Okay? The old adage is, if you have to lift something up, you lift with the legs, never with the back. Right? Okay. So what that would look like, forgive the movement here because I got to go get the bag. I'm bending down my legs. I did not hinge to go get it. That's where you can get into trouble. So that slow hinge down, butt back, picking up. Now what I have here is a partial bag of soil because I've used all my soil and this is all I got left. But the technique would still be the same. So again, if I'm going to put this back down, I'm going to go and hinge those hips. I'm going to bend the knees down. Now, you know, if you can't go all the way down, you certainly can drop it here. Again, if you can, hinge and then pick. Back as straight as you can and then pick up. Okay? That's what you want to do with that. So, one time's good, but what happens if you did that repetitive motion, not have to put it down, but maybe I do those 6 times. 1, 2, you get the idea. Now I'm making it a workout. And strengthening those legs and that back for the next time I have to come out here. Make sense? Good. All right, so I'm kind of going off of a little script here. That would apply too, by the way, if you had any heavy object. I'm going to be a bag of soil, obviously. So, you know, I love gardening. But for me, it's a way to get back out in nature. You can barely see some of my bird feeders. I have a nice deck here. It's fairly private. I have a water fountain. I feel good when I look around at what I did. So what's the benefit of that? Right, gray matter, mental health. It's a good feeling of accomplishment. You know, it makes me proud. You know, and that's one of the things, you know, and then I enjoy nature. I'm kind of a nature-loving guy anyways. I got that from my dad. All right, so we kind of went over a couple of easy things with the raking and, you know, the squatting and how we do that and taking those into exercises. So it's not just one time I lift, I come to that 3/4 and I make it several times. You get the idea. And we're going to try to do that with each one of the next exercises as well. Okay, so digging in the dirt, Now, if I have my shovel here, you know how to use a shovel. You step on it, put a little weight on it. But what you don't want to do is you want to remove that dirt, is when you're down here, is to take it from this position and toss it to the side. Not the best thing for the spine. You're better off doing that little crouch, lifting the soil up, and then turning it over. Does that make sense? Instead of here, turning, puts a little more torque on the spine, let the legs do the lift, you're here, stabilize the core, and then dump it. Sounds simple, I know. Just something I would do if I were you. Protect that back. I mean, obviously you're gonna have to turn it. If you can pull it forward, even better. But what's this motion doing, right? If I'm lifting, 1, 2. So what I'm actually doing here is a bicep curl on a squat. Okay, great. And again, those can be repeated. I know it may seem funny. Your neighbors may be looking at it like, what the heck is Sally doing over here? What is that? Don't worry about it. You're here for your health. Remember that. Okay, so I'm going to get my knee pad, and I'm going to get my cheat sheet here. There it is. And what we're going to do is get onto the knee pad, and I'm going to see if I can let you see me from this angle. It's a little awkward. I've got some banjo mood music. I don't know if you can hear it or not. But I'm going to go and get into my kneeling position. Okay. I got my little trough here. What I will do is working on some biceps. So I'm going to come to this position. I'm going to dig into that salt, and I'm going to lift up. I'm going to lift up. I know it seems pretty simple, but if you're doing this, and then the whole thing about this is the focus. Okay, you know how to do this, but come here, squeeze, dig, up, squeeze, squeeze. So you're obviously not going to come up that high, but again, you can make this a bicep exercise. And yes, if I put my fingers there, I'm engaging by focusing on the muscle group I'm working. Pretty simple, right? Okay. One of my favorites here that I'm going to use is one that will put you on the ground, let's say for weeding, or if you're just transplanting or putting plants in. I'm going to go and get on both knees. Now it's just make believe I've got some weeds, which I do in this yard here. It's my backyard. So I'm in this position. I'm kind of in this stance, and maybe I'm reaching the pit. That's pretty awesome. What happens if I do this? And I think I can get the frame here. Now, what happens if I work on some balance? I get this area weeded. What happens if I take a leg, I still got one leg on the ground, and I lift, and I try to do that weeding? What am I doing now? Looks like a bird dog. So you notice that my right leg is on the ground, and my left arm is planted, my hand planted in the ground. So now I'm doing some balance. You know, what's the worst thing that happen is you might lose your balance a little bit and tip over just a tiny bit. But that's one way, and of course you'd have to repeat the other side, but that's another way you can work a little core as you get the activity done. Does that make sense? Good. All right, so I'm in this position. I've been weeding. All right, maybe it's time for a little upper body strength. Okay, knees are on the ground, I'm here. I come down and I do a push-up. So what's going to do here is the hinge in the elbow. My arms are a little wider than shoulder width apart. I'll come down and push up. All right, I get whatever that number looks for you, 6, 8, 10, that's good. So, all right, I did my push-ups, great. Okay, I'm still here, I do a little bit more weeding. Maybe I'll do a thing called fire hydrant. And all that is my right leg is planted into my pad. Think of a, well, it's a little, I don't know, a little rude, not rude, but rough. Oh, that's a pretty good pun. Because what I'm going to do is lift this leg and down. Lift this leg, down. Again, repeating that. I go back to my little weeding. I would repeat to the other side, other side, other side. Okay? I know, it's basic stuff, but you're here anyways. Why not utilize that time? You're being productive. 2 ways, making your garden nice and pretty, and going ahead and working some muscle groups that you may otherwise not use. So back into my all-4 position. And this time here, I'm just going to extend my leg out, and I'm going to see if I can come into a better frame. I'm going to pick my leg up and then put it down. Up. You notice the angle of my knee. So now I hold here, I engage my glutes. I still have 3 points of contact. Yes? 1, 2, and then the back leg for 3. Lift in the other leg. So again, 6, 8, 10 of those, one side, repeat. You can continue on whatever your activity is here. You're grabbing your little shovel and you're digging, think about those little exercises. Okay, the other thing we can do, one more for the ground, since we're here anyways, is a knee pull-in. So in this case here, it's kind of like lifting that leg again, but this time I'm going to focus on bringing my knee into my chest. The full extension, knee into the chest. Okay? Now when I do this, I'm obviously working some hamstring and some glutes there, and when I bring it in, bring my knee in, area here, the hip flexor area, that's engaged as well. All right, so what do we got? A few exercises to do while you're gardening. Be mindful of them. I will post these exercises, probably a little bit of information out there on MCA, soon to be OCA, as you probably know. And from that point, we're going to slowly get back up. Now remember, if you have a bad, maybe it's hard for you to get down, I have my spade shovel here. I can use that as my cane. A lot of you probably do. And that makes it a little bit easier for getting up and down. Yes? Okay, good. Oh, I got my shovel here. Bicep curls. How about that? Or you can do some lifts. Take the time to be mindful on your exercise. During this pandemic, you know, sometimes it's hard to be motivated, on doing exercises, but that's okay. I'm in the same boat. Hard for me to stay focused. That's okay. I get it. Be kind to yourselves. All right, so enough of that. So a little bit of stretching here since we're already up here. I'm going to do a simple stretch. I'm going to take one leg out, my right leg out to my heel, and then I'm going to go ahead on my left leg. I'm going to bend that knee, and I'm going to kick my body back. So my right leg is fully extended. You can't see it, but my toe is pointing into the body, and I'm just gently using these hands here for support and sitting that booty back. And you want to hold this for, say, 10 seconds or so. And then, of course, you repeat to the other side, right? Same thing. Good job with that. You can also do one where you can just go wide with the legs here, just like that. And you can just come on down, hinge your hips back, push your booty back, and then you can come back up. And if your legs are wide enough, you get a little bit of stretch in the inner thigh. Now, again, if you have a place, a rail, or something you can hold on to, you can also work into a quadricep stretch by grabbing the back of your shoe. If you've got knee replacement, just simply bending it back as much as you can. Or if you can grab the whole leg. I'm on uneven surface, and I'm doing a little quadricep. Again, I could be holding on to something right here. Might be easier. Work to the best bend radius of the knee, the range of motion that you're capable of doing, okay? Both sides. And by the way, if a doctor's told you not to make any of these movements you've seen today, take that person's advice, always, okay? All right, so a little stretching, hands behind the back, push out your chest, rotating those shoulders, dropping those arms down, hands behind your buttocks, be proud, a little gentle turning of the head, looking up, and then down, up, and down. Make those movements a little bit longer, please. You do a little tricep by taking your arm up, and just kind of bringing that hands behind your back. Perhaps give yourself a little lean. And then, of course, you repeat to the other side, same thing. All right. Oh, yeah. I have one more plant I need to hang up, and I was hoping maybe y'all would help me with that. It's been pretty hard for me to get out and get my wife a Mother's Day gift, so. But this is going to be it for Sunday. I'll make her a nice dinner. I'll try to be a good husband. You hear that, guys? Y'all should try to. All right, so I've got my little planter here. Let's say I need to bring this up to a big high hook. Okay, well, I got it. What happens if I take it up instead of one time? How about the 10? The 10, okay? Place that on the hook. And just did some shoulder work. That's how easy it is, folks. I am going to go ahead and bid you all adieu, but before I do so, I'm going to see if I can show you some of my little garden area here. It's a very modest garden area, but I enjoy it. And I started a little bit of gardening on my deck. Now, yes, I know it's really crowded. Anyway, with that, I've got me a nice refreshment. I'm going to find myself a nice cozy chair, kick on back, And I bid you all adieu. Take good care, folks. That's good.